Hello,
Hey, we're back.
we are back. But I used to blame myself a lot that I got big spiritual experiences after 2012 also, but then I should have meditated strongly and, with discipline and things like that. And
It all
did
happened
the,
how it was supposed to. Don't worry about any of that.
I still do feel that I could have been disciplined about it. Like if I was feeling called to meditate and do the breathing exercises and things like that. If I did them, it would have become easier. Life would have become easier. Just that.
That's a story.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's just a
Okay.
story. Yeah, we tell ourselves all kinds of stories that just generate guilt and anxiety in us. None of them are true. Everything unfolded to bring you here, and you're supposed to be here. And I know that because you're here. Yeah, there's a trust that you can have with the unfoldment of reality or the unfoldment of your own life. You can trust this. You'll be where you need to be. And what will happen, what needs to happen will happen. If the thing that you didn't want to happen happens, it's because you're trying to write a story other than reality, and that leads to suffering. If you just if you just accept reality as reality and accept that it unfolds as it unfolds, however it does, and you just flow along with that, then there's the anxieties start falling away. One analogy that I like offering up is the analogy of kind of like a log in a river. As long as you think you're this separate individual, you think you're Sanchi, and you hold tightly to the identity of Sanchi, you're like a log floating down a river. You're liable to bash up against all the rocks or the hard events that happen in life. However, if you recognize your true essence as just the knowing principle, that principle you were during deep sleep, and that principle that you are right now, just the knowingness principle, then you become more like the water. And the water never gets hung up. The water, although it may bash against the rocks, it just kind of flows as it flows, like it never gets hung up, which is the feeling of suffering. Suffering is the tension between something happens in life and life is continuing to go, and you're not flowing with life, and so there's this energetic disconnect, and that's the energetic gut feeling of suffering, that something should be different than it is. That's what suffering, wanting reality to be different than what it is. And so the more you can just notice your timeless essence right here and now, the more you'll just flow with life. And so you don't got to worry about things you should have done. That's you trying to be the log in the river. That's you trying to change reality. And you're never going to change reality. Like I said before, do the best you can in the moment and then just let it go. And that's not having any attachment to the outcome, like I said before. So don't become the log. Just be the water. Just flow with it. If you didn't meditate this morning, it's fine. Just keep moving with life. Don't judge yourself. Just be the water. Just flow with it. Life is going to continually flow, and just go with it. So just that's being in the present moment, being with the flow of life. And so it'll flow where it flows. You'll do the best you can as you go, but just don't get hung up on anything, and don't let anything get hung up on you. Let all past events go. It's important to acknowledge that all of these stories, the ones that offer us grand insights, the ones that crack our shell of identity, like when a UFO pops in your experience and changes your perception of reality, what that's doing is basically cracking a hard sort of paradigm that you've, like a calcification of belief. And then all of a sudden a UFO comes into your reality, and all of a sudden that nut cracks because your paradigm is completely shifted, and you're living from a new, broader reality, or at least you now believe a wider range of possibilities in life. And right now, if you just are open to all possibilities in life, you don't calcify at all. You don't become the log at all. You don't become a separate individual identity at all. You just flow with the divine isness of life. Then the dimensionality that you mentioned earlier comes into focus. Anything can pop in and out. And like you said earlier, If there's 8 billion people on the world, then there's 8 billion different realities, because everybody's experiencing the one infinite consciousness from a slightly different perspective. And that perspective, that slice of the infinite, is viewing the same reality, but from a slightly shifted angle. So when you said that person saw a book move in their experience, but maybe the person next to them didn't see that book move, it's just because they occupy a slightly different version of the infinite, of this shared experience. And so all of these things can happen. And if you hold that perspective that anything is allowed to happen, then you just flow with life. You become the flow of life itself. And then these anxieties don't happen. Suffering doesn't happen.
I want to dive right into my anxiety and
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. So I'll go back to the biggest there have been many manifestations, but one of the biggest ones that happened, I don't know if you remember, I said the last time, I don't know, but it was again that girl, I just prayed to God that whoever this would be, may she only come in my life if she is the one for me, if she is going to be my life partner.
That's a hard demand to put on a life that's always flowing.
Time passed by. It was sort of I don't know, wishes, and then it was just let go. There was let go of that, and there was faith and a knowing also, because there was a time that some astrologer kind of a person told me that he put that in my mind, you are going to awaken, he said. And then I understood, okay, thank God, there's a thing like that and one can awaken. Good. I'll work upon it. That was a confirmation of sorts that, okay, it is possible. For me, I mean, I know there were people like Eckhart Tolle and, all these, who we revere, you also, things started to become normalized now about awakening, that it is possible. That happened much later, but that was that one point that, okay, he showed me a light that it is possible for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, I would use the word naked,
mm-hmm.
My body was not there. It was just, I was seeing everything about me, which was sort of old conditionings and the darkness, one can call it. This is not me. I was able to see this, but I think I was still in those in that momentum, which I was still acting out of those things, how my father has been, how my mother has. I was just acting out still like that, even though I was able to see from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still acting out in those ways, and that made her stop talking to me. and then everything just, I kind of fell apart, and then I had to tackle this that I had seen, which wasn't me, the darkness, whatever, all those old conditionings. And all these 2-3 years, this got cut down one by one by one. It was just dissolved. It started dissolving, and I kept seeking more and more, inquiry and all of this, Yeah. And I finally, okay, this part we'll cut. This is the second part I was talking about, which we'll have to edit out.
If I can, the advice that you don't have to take my advice at all, but the advice I'd offer for this situation is the same as the advice I'd offer for every situation. It's do whatever you feel called to do, but with no attachment to outcome. you know. And you can apply this to everything in your life, whether it's relationships or, you know, a future outcome that you want from either your education or a work lifestyle, whatever. We've talked previously about manifestation and setting an intention and inserting the energy of belief into that and into that projected ideal outcome. And that's all okay to do. You should do that if you feel called to. But then the last, how you finally wrap that present and send it off, is you completely lose all attachment to the outcome of it. And you should treat this relationship in that exact same way. What happened in that relationship for you sounds like it was a huge kind of sort of energetic awakening. You found out a lot about yourself, and she was a necessary step in your life. And maybe she'll come back in your life and maybe she won't. Either way, it served you, that relationship, no matter how long or short it was, served you exactly how it was meant to serve you. And if you accept it as that, as just what it is, and know with the fullness of your heart that everything that happened to get you to right now was meant to happen, and to totally let it all go, let your entire past go, hold no more energetic ties to it, and just get back in the river as the water and flow with life, everything will unfold for you exactly how it's supposed to. Not necessarily how your mind writes the story of how it's supposed to, but it will happen how it's supposed to. And the more you can come to this present moment, the more at peace you'll be, and anxiety will just fall away from you.
Yeah. So I do try to tell myself that. And when that one point you said, when I also say that one point to myself, that whether she doesn't come, whether she comes back, whether she doesn't come back, just the part whether she doesn't come back gets me into a...
So there's an energy part that you need to work on. There's an energy part you need to work on. And so maybe this chakra video that I make will be something that is really useful for you, I hope.
Yes, it will be. It is great to be.
Because it does seem like you have certain energetic ties that might be holding you back from experiencing your true and authentic liberated presence right now. And most people do. And you're special enough to know that, though. Most people don't know that. They just live with the energetic ties just burdening and bundling them down, and being pulled in all different directions. But if you know that, you have the opportunity for liberation, and you know that. So you're in a very auspicious place, and you should be very excited by that.
Like, there's a part of me that's praying that I hope she comes back. It's okay. I hope she comes back.
Yeah, it's okay to want. It's okay to desire, but release the attachment to it.
Release the attachment. Yep.
There's a difference there. It might be a subtle difference, but there's a difference, and you need to kind of clue in on the difference between desire and attachment to desire. You know, it's the attachment part that leads to suffering.
So desires are not wrong. Like,
desires are not wrong. Desire is a natural part of life. Attachment to desire is not, and that's why it feels like suffering.
Okay. Yeah. So someone said that desires are like your GPS, like they are telling you where to go.
Yes, I'd agree full-heartedly. Yeah. Well, the fact that you see somebody doing exactly what you want to do, and successfully so, means that you believe it's possible. But the fact that it's happening for her and not you means that although you believe it's possible, some part of you doesn't believe that it's possible for you, or you don't believe that you're either worthy of that experience, living that truth. And so there's an energetic disconnect here that's easily solvable, but you just gotta do the work, changing your beliefs around that particular aspect of your life, and coming into the realization that there is nobody more deserving than you are. Not that you're more deserving than anybody, but you are just as deserving as everybody.
And I was going through these beliefs like this, that I have gotten, I'm good now. I believe I'm worthy and I'm deserving and I'm, doing my thing. And when this came up and I just, left it, and I felt I still don't feel it. Like, probably that's why this happened.
Well, life has a way. Life has a way of checking us. It tests us. So as soon as you think you're established in a belief, something will come in your life that tests you. This is just how life happens. I don't know why it happens that way, but it happens that way. And it happens in every aspect of your life. It's like, especially on the spiritual journey, as soon as you think, I found it, I've got it, I'm finally established in my true nature, something extreme is going to happen and to test that. And it can either knock us out of our newfound state, or it can affirm it. We can affirm it just through this stabilization in our either belief, if you're going from the manifestation side, the belief side, or in just the equanimity of being, if you're going on the true self, just direct self-realization path. And so these tests will continue to come, and that's a good thing, because it means you're transcending a certain level of consciousness. You're ascending to a new stage of belief, a wider, more expansive awareness or set of beliefs. Your being has expanded, and so it's being tested. Do you truly believe this now? And so it's just about establishing in those new beliefs, or in that new equanimity of being.
So I was talking to you last night in my mind, and then it was exactly the next part of this that I want to ask, which is, where do these two things meet? Like, there are two paths you told me about. Where do these two things meet? Like, when there is awareness and
I know exactly what you're saying, and they are already the same thing. That's why existence is said to be both everything and nothing at the exact same time. They're two sides of the exact same coin. Life, existence, and reality is completely paradoxical. And so you have to be able to meet these two sides in your mind and say both are true right now. They aren't two separate realities. They're one reality. It's just what reality looks like. It just looks like all of this. This is all one thing. Yes, the mind is real and has real effect, and nothing exists. These aren't two different beliefs. This is one thing. And the more you investigate reality, what is reality, the more you come to understand this, right? The scientist will look at matter, and the closer they look at matter, the more they'll realize there's no such thing as matter. You go down to the elemental level, you go down to the atomic level, you go further, you go down to the level of quarks, muons, and all of a sudden, photons, all of a sudden you realize there's no such thing as actual matter. Everything is made up of just light. And so what we call matter, or physical and non-physical, they're already the same thing. Physical just appears to be solid, but it's still just made of the same substance as the non-physical. And so all of these are paradoxical ideas, but they're both true.
Like I was asking you in my mind and you were replying. I was asking you, okay, now let's say I have, cleared out the old stuff, old beliefs, and now there's a new set of beliefs which is coming from a direct experience. But when I'm not in that direct experience, they are just beliefs, like there's nothing and there's no me, there's no, I can describe it to somebody, okay, this happened, but that would just be description, and that would just be my set of beliefs. And me being established in those beliefs and believing in them and not having anxiety and having a better life experience, but they would still just be concepts and beliefs and not the direct experience. Like, you know what I'm saying? And Yeah. Yeah.
You're working through something right now, but what you need to do is clarify it down into an exact question. Not for me
Yeah.
necessarily, but for yourself. And as we clarify
Mm.
what we mean by all of this, it clarifies for you. And maybe it'll clarify through me giving you the answer,
Mm.
or it'll
Mm.
clarify in
Mm.
your own mind. They're both
Mm.
coming from the same space.
So I asked you, isn't this a thought that there is nothing and we are just looking for it, that there's nothing? And you said, this is a thought. And I'm like, but this is a belief. Then you said, no, this is again a thought. And then there was nothingness in that moment for a second. Like, I did, it just happened and I was laughing that we just had a chat like that. I don't know. I just had it in my mind. And I told you, see, this is a thought. You said that's a thought. And